I'm Hazel. I'm a chiropractor, yoga and breathwork instructor, and today I'll be talking you through a beginner's guide to Agnisar Kriya. This is a cleansing practice from the yoga tradition and can be used to refresh and revitalise your system. And in particular, it can have a lot of benefits for digestion and for your energy levels and resetting the nervous system. Generally, these breath practices should be done with some caution, particularly if you are menstruating, if you have any gastrointestinal problems, particularly if you have any pain in the area, or genito-urinary problems like endometriosis. And in the description, I'll put a full list of contraindications to this practice. So if you're not sure, please have a look at that below before commencing. But I'm going to bring you into it very slowly and cautiously anyway. Now, this is a way that I've developed it, so there are lots of versions of this online of the more traditional way of practicing. But what I found with a lot of my students is essentially to start this practice, it's actually quite challenging to start to do the breath hold. So what we need to do is break it down first to build ourselves back up. So essentially what we'll be building to is to be able to do pumps in our stomach whilst holding our out breath. So the first stage is to be able to hold the out breath. And I would recommend trying to do this for about 10 seconds. So I'm going to demonstrate now. So I'll be taking a breath in through my nose, then forcibly breathing out through my mouth quite quickly. And the reason I breathe out through the mouth is I can do that faster. I'll be leaning forward, trying to find a neutral spine, and then resisting the urge to breathe. I'll be finding Maha Bandha, which are the 3 bandhas in yoga, but very specifically Uddiyana Bandha, so the bandha of the stomach. And in another video, I'll be breaking down those bandhas in more detail if they're not familiar to you. Be holding the bandha for about 10 seconds, coming upright, and then taking a relaxed breath in. So let's try that first. And the practice ends with a relaxed breath in and breath out. So before you move to the second stage, please make sure that you can hold that breath hold for 10 seconds. If you're not sure if you're holding the breath, because it's very easy to leak, which means you're slightly cheating without realising, maybe initially, rather than having the hands on your knees with a stable base, it might be better to hold your nose with one of your hands, just to make sure that you are holding the breath. So once you've done that, stage 2 is to have a go at 5 slow pumps. So I'm not breathing during this stage, I'm still holding my out breath, but I'm allowing my abdomen to relax forwards out of Uddiyana Bandha, and then I'm drawing the bandha back in and holding the stomach back in. I'm going to try and do that 5 times. So it's now much more of a up-regulating practice. I can feel a little bit lightheaded now. That's absolutely normal, but obviously if that doesn't feel good for you, make sure you take lots of breaks between these practices. You can sit, do some relaxed belly breaths, and just do some breath holds if needed. Please don't move on to the next level until you can really feel like you can do those 5 pumps. And for some people, it's very difficult to completely relax the abdomen. We've been taught a lot that we must hold this area in. So being able to completely relax that does take a little bit of practice. And also making sure there's no leak going on, so you could always hold your nose as well. Once you've got to that stage, the 3rd stage, in my opinion, is then trying to do that quicker. And the idea there is that you almost almost flutter the stomach, and building up the practice to look a little bit more like the traditional Agnisar Kriya, which I'll demonstrate now. Yeah. So that was 21 pumps, which is traditionally the number to aim for with that, and then you can move up to higher levels of pumps. But I would definitely start with 10 fast pumps, build up to 21. A few common mistakes that you need to be aware of is making sure you're in a stable base. So what a lot of people can do while they're holding this position is start to move too much through their low back. Particularly at this stage, we would prefer to try and keep nice and stable so that the movement is just coming through the abdomen where possible. Another mistake people make is to try and do too many, and then as they're coming up, starting the inhale with quite a thirsty breath. So as you're coming up, it'll be so you don't want to necessarily take your breath hold to the extent that the breath is very thirsty at the end. We're working in a soft breath hold, and what that means is we're not stimulating the nervous system to the extent that we feel like any panic about having to take that inhale. That's why the first stage of building up our breath hold is really important before we progress through too quickly. Once you've got to those pumps, you would start to then isolate the pumps a little more as you start to progress into the potential of being able to do narrowly in the future, which isn't part of my personal practice yet. So I wanted to just show you that little part if you sort of feel like the full version of Agnisar Kriya might be a little bit too challenging for you. But please read the instructions below just to make sure that this practice is appropriate for you. Thank you.